Hello, you're watching RT, broadcasting live from Moscow. I'm Kerry Johnston. More than 100,000 protesters have taken to the streets of the Georgian capital, Tbilisi, with the opposition promising there are even more to come. They're calling for President Mikhail Saakashvili to step down and for a snap election to be held. Leaders have promised the rally will be peaceful, but many fear a repeat of the violent dispersal which marked a rally that took place in November 2007. Well, joining me live from the Georgian capital is RT's Anisa Nawe. Anisa, tens of thousands already on the streets. Have more people joined the protests and are more likely to?
Actually, it seems to be the other way around. Things have been fairly quiet and under control. Earlier today, we did see close to 100,000 people out on the street. It seems now that some of them have left outside the parliament. There seems to be in the tens of thousands. They, of course, are pledging that they will stay there day and night, at least in some kind of numbers, until President Mikhail Saakashvili steps down. Now, in terms of what else could happen on this first day of protesting, we are hearing that the group might make their way back to the state-run television center, which the opposition claims is completely run by Mikhail Saakashvili. Now, it has to be said, of course, that the opposition was predicting that in the hundreds of thousands would come out onto the street, up to 200,000. That certainly is not the case. They haven't gotten the outcome they expected, but there certainly are a lot of people out on the street, and who knows, we could see more in the coming days.
Yes, you mentioned the opposition there. A lot of opposition groups have united with a clear message for Mr. Saakashvili. Many of them former close allies of the president. What drove them to oppose him?
Well, in fact, as we speak, a list is being read out by the opposition leaders right in front of the parliament, and it's a list of many wide-ranging crimes, from corruption to clamping down on freedom of press to irresponsibly leading the country into the war over South Ossetia last summer. The interesting thing, like you mentioned, is that most of the opposition leaders used to be very close allies of Saakashvili. One of them, who in fact is important to mention if Saakashvili steps down, is said to be considered the favorite to take over as president, is Irakli Alasanya, who was the former Georgia ambassador to the UN. He, of course, is here today and has spoken out many times to the crowd as to why he believes the Georgian president needs to step down.
The Georgian people desire change and are no longer willing to accept Mikhail Saakashvili's government. Today's cornerstone meeting is a referendum of the people dissatisfied with Saakashvili.
Now, there were some fears that perhaps we could see a repeat of what we saw in November 2007 when pretty much the same thing was happening. Thousands of people were demanding that the president step down, and it ended in a violent crackdown. Now, again, a former close ally of Saakashvili, Nina Burjanadze, who used to be the head of the parliament, the speaker of the parliament, when that happened in November in 2000, today used her time on the stand to apologize for not being able to stop that crackdown.
I express my apologies to the people of Georgia that I failed to protect the participants of the opposition rally on the 7th of November 2007. I'm sorry that in spite of all my efforts, I failed to prevent the dispersal of the protesters. Mikhail Saakashvili must resign, as the people of Georgia don't trust him in anything.
Now, it's going to be interesting to witness how this all is going to end, whether it ends in a violent crackdown or some kind of agreement is made. It certainly is clear that both sides seem very strong in their positions. The opposition saying they won't stop until Mikhail Saakashvili resigns, and it's certainly not expected that either side is going to give up without some kind of a fight.
Now, we've heard that Georgian authorities were, well, really afraid to see another former ally of the president appear at the rally, who was reportedly on board a plane that had to land at a military airport. Do you know any more about that at all?
Yes, in fact, it's an interesting story. Irakli Akurashvili, who is now a leader of one of the opposition parties, he used to, again, be a close ally of Saakashvili. He's the former defense minister. He was charged with various corruption charges once he stepped away from Saakashvili and started speaking out against him. He was self-exiled and found political asylum in France. And according to official reports, a Turkish Boeing was forced to land because of pilot error, but there's much speculation from the opposition that that Turkish Boeing was forced to land at that military airport not far from the capital because Irakli Akurashvili was on it. And today, of course, he was a no-show, so that's why the opposition is speaking about this. They really think that he was on that plane.
Okay, interesting stuff. Anissa Nawe from the Georgian capital, thanks very much for